For the love of God, please just tell me my mic is working. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Jamie's Talk About Wrestling, or that other word that I shouldn't say because it gets me in loads of trouble apparently. Today we're going to be finally catching up, just in time for my review of Raw and SmackDown tomorrow. We are going to review this past week's AEW Dark and AEW Dynamite. Now, I was going to throw in the Being the Elite 200th episode as well in here, but after watching that match between the brothers, I can't really review it because it was so showboaty. It's a bit like reviewing that Bray Wyatt Funhouse segment where you can't really call it a match. It was a lot of spots, but at no point did I feel like it was a match. It felt a bit too wacky and a bit too crazy. They clearly are going in full swings with these kind of edited movie-like videos lately. It's a bit worrying. As long as it stays on YouTube, I don't mind. But I just hope they don't do it too much on the live. And at least if they're going to do it, I hope they do it with taste. But anyways, we're going to jump straight into it because, like I said, this is a catch-up. Tomorrow, I will be finally able to relax and do things at my own pace. I say relax, but I haven't watched Raw or SmackDown, so I will be, shortly after coming off of this, catching up, making notes, watching it, and probably have to rewatch it tomorrow to make sure my notes are valid before doing it. So, yeah, life is a bit hard, but at least I haven't got much else to do right now. Anyways, we'll start off with AEW Dark. I was happy to see that woman, Anna Jay, back in the ring with Penelope Ford. Don't know what it is about Anna Jay, but I said before that she is just good in the ring. I don't know what it is about her. There were a few spots where she was doing a couple of turnovers with Penelope, and yeah, they looked rusty, yeah, they looked green, and some people could hate that, but from what I've looked into the background of this wrestler, she's still quite green. She's still in kind of that beginning period, cleaning up her act, and I see a bright future for her. I really feel like if she keeps like the way she's going, she could become like a big superstar one day. So all the best of luck to her. Obviously, other than like the green bits and the few botchy bits, it was alright. Found that Penelope Ford likes the ropes a bit too much. She kept jumping off them and bouncing off them. Found it a bit kind of long. She also does it like in AEW Dynamite. I will get to that in the main event. And just generally, another thing that I will mention as well is that I actually kind of like the way that Penelope Ford and Kip Sabian are slowly becoming one of those couples that I'm sure we can all relate to if you ever went to school, high school or college. Just one of those couples that you just absolutely hate. I personally had one in college where there was one bloke that was dating this girl when we were studying construction and stuff, and he was always inviting her to the class even though she was supposed to be studying economics like down the hall, whatever, and they were always showing off. They were always like snogging in public, and it got to that point where you just generally wanted to throw both of them in the bin. So I take it that's what they're coming up with, like that's what they want you to do. They are heels, so anything to get heat is good, so all the best for them. Moving on from that, we actually did get another match in an AEW Dark, as though it was short, and it was really short as well. I believe the time counter was not high at all. It was, what was it, 25 minutes again? It was like still not that great considering that they're supposed to be putting out this maximum amount of content and they seem to be lacking it lately, but we're all going through hard times, so I have to somewhat forgive it. And like I said, that's why I review AEW Dark and Dynamite as kind of like one show, because I can, with Raw and SmackDown being 3 hours long and AEW Dynamite only being 2 hours. Adding the Dark on top just makes up for the lack of content. If you can't tell, I am trying to flesh this out as well, but we did go into this match with a very... I don't know what to think about his opponent. I didn't bother to memorise his name because I assume he's just a jobber that's filling in. I have heard no news about this guy actually signing with them. Cody's always fantastic in the ring, but I find this guy... There's something about him that I find really creepy, something that I find really awkward about him. There was one spot where he got thrown out where he rolled out the ring, I believe. He didn't get thrown out, he rolled out the ring. And he started coming on to Brandy Rose and started shaking his man boobs, and it just felt very uncomfortable. Even Brandy looked at it very uncomfortable, to a point where Cody then attacked him from behind, threw him back in the ring, and then copied the movement. Not so much for fun, but almost like him and Brady were like taking the piss out of this guy. Overall, the match, was a decent amount of length. It wasn't too long, thankfully. I actually really enjoyed Cody's new submission. It was different. He basically went for the figure four, but then kind of turned it over so that it looked like almost like a weird diversion of like a figure four, but in a sharpshooter position, you imagine. So you imagine you're setting up for the figure four, so you get their legs in that kind of four position that the submission's so famous for, and then you flip them over as if you're doing like the Walls of Jericho or sharpshooter to them. It looks awkward to get into though, because with the knees being in the position they are and the ankles being in the position they are, you could tell Cody didn't want to flip him too quickly, because obviously that could cause some major cartilage damage, some strain on like the tendons in the legs. So it's a bit of an awkward submission, a bit of a dangerous submission if you were going to try and apply it in a main event. But overall, it looked good. Once it was actually properly in and he managed to flip the guy over, it served its purpose. It did a fantastic job, ended the match, and that was pretty much AEW Dark. It was, like I said, it's another short one, but it was good for what it was. Like I said, nothing major to complain about other than a bit of hiccups here and there. Moving on, we're going to go straight into the main show, AEW Dynamite. First of all, hearing Chris Jericho's voice back on commentary, fantastic. I love Chris on commentary lately. I think he's just so good. It's really come out of nowhere. I never imagined I can enjoy hearing his voice for such a long period of time, but he's absolutely fantastic. Everything he narrates, it's so clever, it's funny, just a true joy. And like I said, once again, he just always seems to bring out Tony Schiavone in such a brilliant way, really kind of gets him out of his shell, unlike how the other two do it. No offense to JR or Excalibur, I both think they're good in their own right, especially Excalibur. A lot of people give Excalibur crap because he's like, a lot of people don't know him and don't have history with him as much as JR and Tony Schiavone. But Excalibur, he knows his stuff, and he does do some good like commentary. You should check out on YouTube. He is really talented when it comes to certain matches. I believe he did one between the Escalella Kid versus Pentagon Jr., and it was absolutely brilliant. I won't contrive too much because we're already going off bases, but basically we then had Sammy Guevara doing what I can only say was a great promo. It was absolutely fantastic. He actually came over really like kind of cocky but serious. It was different from what I've seen before of him. It wasn't so much him being an annoying youngster this time. It was actually him taking it on seriously and actually putting in real threats. He actually came across as an actual man this time rather than just Chris Jericho's like little bitch. The only problem is that they then did go into this match with Darby Allin, and like I said, with the whole kind of coming out to the way they did and the spot they did, my brain is just going through it now and just remembering all the criticism I had with the beginning bit. Because the problem is, they've done this before. They did it at Revolution, I believe, where they kind of did Sammy Guevara like attacking Darby Allin before he even like gets in the ring and the bell's rung, and then does like a massive spot to Darby Allin that looks like should absolutely destroy him. In this case, it was like this big press onto a ladder where Darby Allin was laid on the ladder and Sammy Guevara did like this big splash and the ladder didn't budge. It literally looked like Sammy Guevara just crushed Darby Allin's windpipe, and literally that's how it was. Personally, I felt like it should have gone to like him getting taken out in a stretcher and Sammy Guevara just getting like an automatic put through to the final or something like that kind of angle, because I'm a sucker for those kind of storylines. But no, they then got back in the ring, the bell rung, and personally, very, very quickly, too quickly for it to be believable, Darby Allin was already back on his feet and already kind of controlling the match and taking advantage of Sammy Guevara, and I just found that it made no sense personally. It didn't really sell. I get that Darby Allin's supposed to be this guy that can take hits, but literally that spot looked like it should have absolutely decommissioned him, and considering that he's not also this, he's not big, he's quite a scrawny guy, it looked like it was bloody painful. So fair play to him for carrying on with the match, considering how much like damage must have already been in his rib cages and that. And I get they're trying to go on this spot that he's going into the semi-finals with Cody now injured. I don't know how they're going to play that into it, because I think Cody would have won even if Darby Allin like wasn't. But I guess they're going on that idea of after the draw, they don't want Cody getting a clean win on Darby Allin because they want to keep Darby Allin over. So I guess they're giving him the injury angle so that Cody might take advantage of it and get his place in the final, which I will get on to the fact of where that is going and what I personally think about it. After this, we then got a Matt Hardy promo, and it was different because it started off with his wacky broken personality and his old Damascus. I still like some of it. I like the whole of the arse kind of insult and the way he like positions his words in sentence. It's different, very Yoda style. It's it is still good. But shortly after this, we then kind of got like the real Matt Hardy, like a serious Matt Hardy, not the wacky thing, actually going on about stuff and talking to the camera more seriously. And I actually much preferred it to the wacky and zany stuff. I actually think that if he had done this from the start, he would have been way more over, and I would have been able to take him way more serious, and I would have been way more excited for his matches. But it looks like he's going to stick with the crazy stuff and do this massive all-delete thing where he's inviting Chris Jericho to the Hardy compound, and they're going to have this wacky Bray Wyatt-style match that's just going to not even look like wrestling, just look like a cheap Netflix budget film. But no, I really enjoyed the serious stuff. I don't have much more to say on the promo. I just wish he would do more of his promos without the broken Matt Hardy persona. That's pretty much it. Shortly after this, we then did get a Kenny Omega match, which I was excited for, which is Kenny Omega versus Alan Angels. Alan Angels, you might notice that with the AW Dark, I said I didn't bother to memorize the name of the jobber there. But I feel like this Alan Angels guys is like one of those underdogs that is secretly fantastic, and I can't praise enough of his style in the ring. I really enjoyed it. It came out of nowhere. Never heard of this guy. Never seen him before. He's clearly some like indie wrestler because once again he was very green. But once again, similar to Anna Jay and all that, he had something about him, the way he moved himself in the ring, that he's clearly been taught some good values, and he's clearly been taught some good selling angles, because considering he was in with someone like Kenny Omega who has been around the block and done it for quite some time, he was kind of not dropping, because normally what happens is when you put like a main star against the jobber, like you put The Rock with like someone that's just attended wrestling school and has only done a few live shows, you chuck them in the ring. Quite often you find that someone like that, the superstar, has to dull down their level of wrestling to kind of to make it easier for the jobber. But in this case, Kenny wasn't holding back. He was kind of doing the same as he's done in all his matches, where he was hitting hard, he was hitting fast, and this Alan Angels guy actually kept up with it, sold really well, and even put in some unique styles of his own to some of the moves that I haven't seen before in the wrestling ring. And I really enjoyed it, and I appreciate the fact that Kenny took the time to do what is the right thing, which is clearly sourcing this guy, and was willing to put him over. And it was brilliant. It was really a good match. I can't praise it high enough. It wasn't my favourite match on the card, but it was a really good match, and I actually hope to hear news of Alan getting signed. Even if it's not with AEW, I'd just like to hear him get signed somewhere, because I feel like the guy could use some more exposure, a bit more like more in-ring, like, you know, on-the-task kind of experience to really perfect his craft. And all I can wish him is the absolute best. Moving on, we then got Orange Cassidy versus Jimmy Havoc in a match that really made no sense. This is one of the down points, unfortunately, because I do like Orange Cassidy and I did like his gimmick, but sadly, the inner kind of cornet in me, or whatever you want to call it, has started kind of not liking the whole gimmick process when it's done the way he's doing it now. Like, because the problem is, here's the difference, is that he was lazy before. So the way he used to lazily get in the ring and like join in, it was funny, and it like kind of made sense for his personality, the fact that he kept up with it. And then he had the match with Pac, and he was getting spots where he was serious, and it worked again, and I still liked it. But the problem is with this match is, one, you have Jimmy Havoc as his opponent, and Jimmy Havoc was doing some stuff to kind of ruin our perception of Orange Cassidy anyways, because he was doing that kind of gimmicky, kind of house show kind of style thing that you would get to an audience of kids, where he was like sticking Orange Cassidy's hands in his pocket, and Orange Cassidy was pretending that he couldn't get his hands out of his pockets, and they were stuck, and it just seemed very silly and not very serious. Unfortunately, I'm not into silly. I'm into more serious stuff so that I can get lost in the match and enjoy the match and feel the highs and the lows. This case, there were some highs that started off. It started really good. Orange Cassidy started getting really serious at some points. But here was the problem, is that he got really serious, and it got to a point where he had managed to shake off Jimmy Havoc to a point where he was on the mat, and Orange Cassidy had finally got up. And Orange Cassidy actually went out of his way to put his hands back in his pocket and deliver what they call a lazy splash, which makes no sense considering that he just built up steam. To then immediately go back into the lazy persona just made 0% notice. I know Tony Schiavone tried to shake it off, saying, oh, he must have fallen asleep up there, but that just made it seem even more sillier. And I just lost interest in the match after this, and I ended up fast-forwarding kind of a lot at the end. I see that Orange Cassidy managed to get the old roll-up, like the old package on him, and Jimmy Havoc got angry and got revenge by basically dropping Orange Cassidy on his head. I also saw that there was loads of interference from Penelope Ford that the ref clearly saw, but made no effort to DQ the match whatsoever. It should have been a DQ. Like, I'm not even going to start with how bullshit that is. The fact that you could literally, like, the ref could see clear as day. Aubrey Edwards saw fucking Penelope Ford jump off the rope, and she just watched the whole thing. Didn't even think to ring the bell and say, no, that's cheating. You guys are fucking disqualified, and give the match to Orange Cassidy right there and then. No, she carried it on, let it go, which has ruined her credibility with a lot of fans, because now they're going to think, well, you just let anything fucking go. So now it's just, it's a load of crap, considering that other refs, what's his name? But anyways, I'm not going to spend ages trying to figure a ref's name. If I remember his name, I will put it in the description. But there's some refs out there that get so much crap in AEW for like not doing the 10 count with people on the outside, and the whole point is that they do explain that refs are allowed to decide whether to start the 10 count or not. I get that. But when you literally have seen a wrestler interfere with a match, like a wrestler that's not included in the match and has interfered, clearly that's cheating, that's bullshit, and it should be disqualified. The fact that it hasn't makes this match absolutely stupid and just an absolute pile of shit. So I'm going to not go any further into it. Good for Orange Cassidy getting the win. Bad for this being his first match, because it was a load of contrived bullshit. I'm going to turn down the swearing because my child has now walked into the room to say hello. Then we got a promo from MJF, and what a fantastic promo. MJF still absolutely selling. He almost came across as like a babyface when he was trying to, like, going on about his arm. I really found it funny because you could see he was being sarcastic as F. It was just absolutely brilliant. Absolutely love MJF. I actually do want to see him in the main title picture, crazy enough. Shortly after this, it led into it. This is what made MJF so good, is that he was on about Wardlow. This shortly led into Wardlow. We then got Wardlow squashing some jobber, but at least this jobber could sell the F10 much better than the previous jobber. Just what strength as Wardlow got. Like, some of the spots were just absolutely incredible when he was lifting him. I really was so impressed by the amount of strength. I haven't seen stuff like that since, like, you know, kind of Brock Lesnar, Big Show, those kind of Mark Henry, those kind of characters with that insane strength. Bill Goldberg back in the day, not now, he can't even pick up The Undertaker without nearly dropping him on his neck and killing him. But no, it was just amazing strength. He was doing like big press slams, and it was just absolutely insane, lifting the guy way above his head, and the F10 does look devastating when it's sold right. The previous guy absolutely screwed it up, which you can listen to one of my previous videos to hear about that. But in this case, it was delivered absolutely perfect, sold really well. Not much more to say. All the best to Wardlow. They're continuing to sell him as a monster. I like it. Shortly after that, I need to stop saying shortly after, because everything is always shortly after the next thing. But after that, we got Brody Lee's promo. It finally seems like he's starting to step away from the Vince McMahon kind of copycat persona, and he's just generally being a boss now. It didn't seem like he was so much ripping off Vince McMahon as he was being this cult leader. He was clearly talking to someone. There are rumours of who that person is, which I'll get to in another video, or wait till it's revealed anyways, because I keep up with my social media anyways to talk about stuff like that. But no, it was good. I can't really complain, because it was just nice to see him finally walking away from that kind of Vince impersonator kind of thing that he was doing. It's a shame that after this it was just a typical Brody Lee squash match like it is. They never seem to like changing it. They just always keep up with the same persona of just Brody Lee going out there doing a few big moves. He did have a brief moment where he looked at Marcus Stunt and smiled at him for some reason. I assume he's planning something. I just hope we don't end up with Marcus Stunt in the ring with Brody Lee, because it would just be the same as the Lance Archer match, where it would just make no sense, and it would just be a load of crap with a little man just being thrown about the ring like a little rag doll, and it won't sell anyone, won't make anyone look any better. Anyways, after that we then got Dustin versus Kip Sabian, which was our main event, and it was a good main event actually. There was one bit near the end that I thought was a bit crappy, but overall the match was fantastic. Dustin always looks fantastic in the ring. I can't ever complain ever since I saw him from Double or Nothing. I think he's been in some of the best shape of his life. He's selling moves so good, and the way that he's adopted some of these more youngster, more like hipster kind of moves, they just look so well. And the thing that always impressed me about Dustin is that even when he's like tripping, he's always thinking of like a way of like building it up to his next move. He just looks fantastic in the ring. It looks so fluorescent. It almost looks like I can't even explain it. It's like a roller coaster. He knows how to sell ups and downs and ups and downs. I find that when he's got a crowd as well, unfortunately there was no crowd, which did affect it in somewhat, because you missed all those kind of oohs and ahs that you'd get from the crowd that would really sell how good Dustin is. I didn't like the bit near the end though, and the end bit that I will just get to is just pretty simply, once again, interference from Penelope Ford. What more do you expect? Kip Sabian, it's that manager. Now, Brandy did come out with Dustin. It made sense for Brandy to be out there because she's supporting her stepbrother or brother-in-law, and she's, going to make sure that Penelope Ford doesn't interfere, although Penelope Ford had already interfered, like, once or twice, I believe, in the middle and the beginning of the match, and Brandy had done nothing other than maybe shout a few words at her, which just seemed absolutely silly. But anyways, we get near the end, and Penelope Ford goes to interfere, and she goes to bounce off the ropes, but then shortly after trying to bounce off the ropes, she then gets interrupted by Brandy, who decides to, rather than just grab her leg and sweep her out of the ring, decides to do her own bouncing off the ropes and lead into a spear. But the problem is, because there's quite a bit of space in the ring, more space than I guess these women thought they would, and I guess they didn't realise how much time it would take up. It just ended up seeming like one of those things that goes on forever. It was really like, just, you kind of stood there going, what the hell's going on? Like, what is this? Like, how is the ref not hearing all this stepping in high heels and, running in the ring? Like, it's just, once again, it just felt very contrived, a lot of bollocks, as us British people say. But I don't know, maybe they just, Brandy likes doing a spear, that's simple as, she just likes doing a spear, so I guess she realised, if I sweep him out, I ain't going to be able to do a spear, it's just going to be a typical cat fight, and I don't want to do that, because I'm Brandy Rhodes, I have to do a spear, so she had to bounce off the ropes to deliver a spear. But surely enough, this gave Kip Sabian a hell of a distraction, because he then stared at Penelope Ford, who'd just been speared for ages, allowing Dustin to recover, and then deliver his what's that move? Canadian Destroyer, and just get the 1, 2, 3. So this was originally built up to be Dustin's kind of like retirement match. He was kind of saying, if I don't win this, I'm going to retire and give up, which, I kind of got the feeling he was going to win the minute he did that, because it seems too early and it's not a big enough match for him to kind of hang up his boots. Sorry, that was a yawn, by the way, in case any of you just wondered what the hell went on with my voice. But to put it simply, I think this is absolutely fantastic booking, because if Dustin does want to step back a bit, maybe take on more of a teacher role, what a better way than to sell it to Lance Archer? Because, like I said from the start, it seems like they're building Lance Archer and Cody in the finals, and it makes sense from all the promos we're getting from Jake the Snake. Lance Archer is finally being sold as this absolute monster, and the one thing that I think will solidify him is if he just gets in that ring with Dustin and just injures him, puts him out, does like a Sammy Guevara to Darby Allin, just absolutely wrecks him to a point where they have to get the ambulance and all the hospital involved and the medical centre, can't say hospital, and just love that angle. It lights a fire under Cody to go into the final match, not only wanting to win this championship, but wanting revenge. It sells Lance Archer as a big monster that, is just going to hurt people to get what he wants. He wants this match so badly with Cody. He's willing to destroy Cody's older brother to get to him. It's just absolutely brilliant booking on my part. I can't praise it enough. I think once the main event between him and Kip, I didn't think that was special, but when I actually sat back and thought about what this is leading to, it's got me really excited for next week's Dynamite, and I can't praise it enough. It's brilliant booking on their part. They're doing something that WWE don't do very well, which is booking for future matches and future days. And this ain't the first time AEW done this. They've done it many times in the past, so I can't be more excited for this. So high kudos to them, very high praise to them. So that's it. That was the whole of AEW, really. Like I say, I'm not going to go on about being the elite. Overall, AEW, it was a really good night. Better than what I've seen them do the past kind of 2 weeks. So I'm going to give this quite a decent score, actually. A really decent score that might surprise some people. There wasn't much I liked other than a bit of greenery. I liked the rest of it. It was really good, really entertaining. It kept me interested, other than the Orange Cassidy and Jimmy Havoc mess up, but I get that that's just what they want to do, and maybe it's just my opinion. So I can't really weigh that too much into it, just for the fact that I don't like silly shit. For all the people out there who do like silly shit, this was right up your alley. So overall, the show, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I know what you're thinking. That is the highest I've given anything. So far before, it was a 4 out of 10 was my highest. But no, this is getting a 7 out of 10. I would put it even up there with the greatest top 3 spots in 8, 9, and 10, but it just lacked that kind of oomph, that kind of big thing that really made you go wow, and it could have done without the Jimmy Havoc and Orange Cassidy and the silly interference and stuff like that, and Brandy ridiculous spear spot. If it didn't have that, yeah, you'd be looking like an 8 or 9 at least. It was really good night. Everything kept entertaining, and like I said, it was just fantastic booking. Sometimes you don't need to have this massive arena match to make a night fantastic if you're building up to something in the future, which, I like as much as I imagine a lot of you enjoy, which is good storytelling. So yeah, wow, that's the highest I'm going to give it. I'm not going to take it back either. 7 out of 10, I'm sticking with it, and that'll be it. I'm all caught up finally. So tomorrow it will be Raw and SmackDown after I've done my research. So all good. Wherever you are, I hope you're having a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or a good night. Weird way to go to sleep, but okay. And I will see you all soon. Feel free to give this video a like. I would very, very, very much appreciate it. Also, if you could, please subscribe to my channel. The more subscribers I get, the more funding I can get, and the more better content I can put out with you. I'm thinking we could turn this into a nice big community where we all get to voice our opinions. I can start having special guests on the show, which some of you might be interested in. If you ever want to talk about wrestling to me personally, we can always set something up. Let me know, just inbox me or message me on my Facebook page or on Twitch. I do a lot of live streams while playing video games, so just if you're bored, and I know times are hard right now and we're all got not much to do, hence why I'm now sat in an empty room. Well, not so much an empty room because my child is in here and he's bringing in his train collection. But yeah, if you want to do something and have some fun with it, I'm more than open to it. And I am here as a pair of ears. As much as you guys are listening to me, I'm willing to listen to you. But that's it for now. I won't travel on too much, because this was supposed to be a catch-up, and I'm already dragging on around 30 minutes. So let's just wrap it up here. I hope you're all okay. What's ever going on, stay safe, stay awesome, and I will see you soon.